All right, let's talk about one of the biggest frustrations in the AI world right now. How do you get consistently great results? Instead of just hitting that refresh button and hoping for the best. Well, today we're going to dive into a framework that helps turn that guesswork into greatness.
I mean, we've all been there, right? You ask an AI for something, and what you get back is a total crapshoot. One minute, it's absolutely brilliant, and the next, it's like it didn't even read your request. It can be so frustrating. But what if you could actually control that? Just look at the difference here. On the left, you've got this generic, kind of messy response that doesn't really help. But on the right, that's the gold. Sharp, well-structured, and actually useful. The only thing separating these two is a well-engineered prompt, and that's the gap we're going to close today.
Let's be honest. For a lot of us, prompting feels like playing a slot machine. We type in a few words, pull that virtual lever, and just hope for a jackpot. But here's the thing. Professionals don't rely on luck. They use a method.
And this brings us to a really crucial mindset shift. We have to stop guessing and start engineering our prompts. This is how you go from being a casual user to a true architect of the AI's response. You're taking back control.
So how do we actually do that? How do we become engineers? The answer with a prompt testing framework. Think of this as your personal toolkit for getting exactly what you want from the AI, time and time again.
Now, testing framework might sound a little complicated, but it's actually super simple. It's just a documented, organized system. It's like a lab notebook for your AI experiments, where you record what you tried, analyze what happened, and figure out how to make your success repeatable. And the whole framework really just boils down to these 4 simple steps, which create this powerful little loop. You record your prompt, you test a different version of it, you evaluate the results, and then you iterate. You make a small improvement based on what you just learned, and then you do it all over again.
Okay, let's get our hands dirty. The core of this whole process is testing. Specifically, we're going to talk about a technique you've probably heard of called A/B testing.
The idea is incredibly simple, but so powerful. You just create a couple of different versions of your prompt, changing only one thing at a time, and then you compare the results to see which one worked better. It's a systematic way to find out what actually moves the needle.
Here's a perfect example. Variation A is just write about prompt testing. It's so vague you could get anything back. But now look at variation B. You're giving the AI a role, a persona, as an expert AI engineer, and you're giving it a clear task and a specific format. That one little tweak guarantees a much more focused response. That's A/B testing in action.
And hey, it's not just about the words you use. You can A/B test the model's settings too. For instance, a low temperature setting gives you very focused, predictable answers. But if you crank it up high, you're going to get way more creative, even wild responses. Testing which setting works for your specific task is absolutely key.
And the things you can test are pretty much endless. You can try giving it different sets of examples. You can ask for different output formats, like JSON or just a bulleted list, or you can simply try rephrasing your instructions. Each one of these is a new variable for your experiment.
But here's the catch, and this is so important. None of this testing matters if you don't remember what worked and why. That's why the most crucial part of this whole thing is systematic documentation. You have to write it down.
So here's what a simple prompt log might look like. For our first try, version 1.0, our goal was a blog post. We used GPT-4, set the temperature to 0.7. The result? It was good. But our note says it was a little too formal. So that's our baseline. Now look what happens next. In version 1.1, we keep everything else exactly the same, but based on our notes, we make one tiny change. We add some guidance on the tone, and boom, the output quality goes from good to better. We now have documented, concrete proof of what works.
Okay, so we're testing and we're documenting. But that word better, what does that really mean? It's kind of subjective, right? That's why we need a consistent way to score the AI's output. We need an evaluation scorecard.
This is a huge question. If you don't have clear criteria for what good looks like, your testing is just based on a gut feeling. You really need to define what success means before you even get started.
Here's a great place to start with your scorecard. Just ask these 5 simple questions every single time. Is the info accurate? Is it relevant? Is it complete? Does it match the style you asked for? And is it in the right format? This little checklist turns a vague feeling into a real, measurable score.
And for those of you who want to level up, you can add even more advanced metrics. Things like consistency. If you run the prompt multiple times, do you get similar quality? Or how well did it follow really complex instructions? This stuff gives you an even finer level of control.
So let's bring all this together. The big takeaway here is really about changing your entire approach. It's about making the leap from being a passive user to be an active, deliberate AI engineer.
This quote just nails it, doesn't it? Great prompt engineering isn't magic. It's a methodical process. The people getting those incredible results from AI aren't some kind of wizards. They're just following a process of testing, evaluating, and iterating over and over again.
So the next time you sit down to write a prompt, I want you to think of yourself a little differently. You're not just typing a question into a box. You're a scientist in a lab or a chef in a kitchen. You are creating, testing, and constantly refining your recipe for the perfect result.
Because every single prompt you write is an experiment, and every output you get back is data. So the only question left is, are you ready to stop guessing and start building your lab?